Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and another Hail Caesar faction review here as we're getting very much towards the end here. I think the last few along with this one. So today we're taking a look at the Crusaders, obviously a popular time period and setting to game in. Different games, of course, different scales and all that stuff. But for Hail Caesar here we have this Crusaders list, roughly mid-12th through 13th centuries, mainly covering 2nd and 3rd Crusades, Saladin, of course, Battle of Hattin and Arsuf. Let's jump into the list itself. Really cool list. Obviously, if you already like the time period, you're probably going to be playing some sort of Crusader list or any of the other adversaries out there during that time. But let's see specifics here. So it is a list that's going to require you to have at least cavalry and infantry. You could go 50-50 or lean more towards one side there, up to 75-25 max. Now for the cavalry, as you might expect, most of it has to be knights. They have to be 50% more of the cavalry. Divisions is pretty standard here, and then skirmishers per division is 25% of infantry. No other weird tricks coming here. So now there are a couple of things here. So with the upgrades here, like cataphract for the stubborn, and then the additional armor, and again, then here in the case of the Holy Order Knights, right, they can be steady and cataphract, and therefore allowed to ignore the first 2 rolls of 6 against them when it comes to triggering missile break tests. So pretty potent stuff, right? So let's jump in. As you can already see, there's just tons and tons of special rules. So if you want to play a super elite list, some of the cream of the crop of infantry and cavalry, then this is what you're looking for, right? No frills. This is just smash you in your face and take control of the battlefield here. So Holy Order Knights, starting off with the cavalry, heavy cavalry with lances, your heavy cavalry profile, but then just look at all the abilities packed in here. We got eager, tough fighters, and steady. And again, knights have to be more than 50% of the cavalry, so a lot of this is going to be your bread and butter units, and that's pretty nasty for anyone to have to deal with. Now, we can make Holy Order Knights cataphract, no other restrictions on that. It's just, do we want to pay the points cost? So, and then that will give us stubborn on top of it, clocking in 41 points a unit, so super expensive. Obviously, it would hurt to lose one of these units, but they can just do so much, right? So each one is really going to punch above its weight class in that regard. We got the Hospitaller Knights, heavy cavalry with lances as well, and again, for 1 unit here, or up to 1 unit, we can then extra to make them cataphract cavalry as well. But here we get already a base of 40 points, frenzy charge, wild fighters, and fanatics on top of all that. And then we can add stubborn as well. Now 44 points is definitely top end of cost for what we've seen so far, but again, they're going to just be absolutely bonkers. So far, really, if we could just build an army of nothing but that, it would probably do pretty well most of the time, unless it does get 2 shot up by missiles before hand-to-hand fighting. But wait, there's more. We have Crusader Knights, heavy cavalry with lances, so just your baseline Crusaders, not any of the other holy orders. Again, we have the cataphract option here, so also starting at 34 points, so like I said, our baseline, cheapest heavy cavalry. Here we got eager, tough fighters, and then we can get stubborn as well. So really we're just missing the steady that the Holy Orders had at the first bit there. So in addition to all those heavy hitters, right, and again, that is just shock troops on steroids here. They're going to do so well at just smashing into the enemy and just outright mauling other units, unless the dice are just absolutely not against you. Or I mean, unless the dice actually are against you, you're gonna pound people. Then we have a generic unit here, the sergeants. They're still heavy cavalry with spears, so in another army, this would be great just to have access to heavy cavalry. But here, these are our low end of the heavy cavalry at 30 points a unit, a modest 30 points a unit. And then we do have a awesome light cavalry, the Turcopoles, light cavalry with bows and spears or javelins as small units. So here's our first access to some solid long-range firepower. Small units, we can have quite a few of these, and they all get feigned flight as well. No other restrictions on that, aside from, again, most of our cavalry has to be heavy cav. So that wraps up the cavalry part, right? So if we just had an all-cavalry list, if we could, this is going to do, again, A-okay and be a nightmare for most people. But our infantry is pretty solid, too. Heavy infantry with spears, just our standard heavy infantry unit that we get. They're stubborn by default, 29 points, so that's pretty cool. Would have been nice to see drilled too, but again, we're really be asking for a little too much, right? It would just start approaching brokenness as far as everything this list can do. Moving on, we still have heavy, continuing that theme from recent armies too, where we get like medium and heavy infantry that are actually more geared towards range. Here we have heavy infantry crossbows, so not quite as punchy as a true melee unit, but still 6 and 6, which is really equal to medium infantry for fighting. But we get the 4-up save like heavy. These are a subunit of heavy infantry. 27 points. No other special rules really needed on that. But yeah, we still get 3 for long range, and they can pitch in and hand-to-hand if really needed. We could also make them small units, still a subunit of heavy infantry, but that does bring the point cost down quite a bit, and still throw in 2 for long range, and really fighting like a light unit at that point. Light infantry unit. Good stuff all around. So this isn't a list that, like, you know, we've seen where some of the like heavy cavalry and medium and all that also had missiles and all that. We don't need those frills here. We're not going to be shooting so much. We're going to be charging and breaking units. The missiles here are really just a supplement to everything, and maybe occasionally soften up some enemies should they need that. And also, you know, in case you get tired of rolling melee dice, you have a little bit of stuff to do in the shooting phase. We do get medium infantry sergeants with spears, so pretty just standard medium unit, nothing fancy here, 23 points. But if we want to pay a little bit extra, and this could be worth it, right? We get mixed ranks of spears and bows. We look pretty thematic too, just to back up your punchy super knights basically, and gives us another 2 for long range. And these are just normal units, so. But yeah, spears and bows together, cool stuff. Finally, light infantry, again, super cheap with bows or crossbows. It's going to give us another 3 for long range. So, you know, rounding out, we do have a decent amount of missile fire, and that's really going to make it super scary for the enemy to deal with. I think they did actually, just looking at this real quick, unless I'm missing something, they mentioned skirmishers up there, but really we don't have any skirmishers, so probably just an oversight on their part, unless I missed something. I'm just not seeing it. But anyway, last but not least, real quick, leadership 8, of course. We'll be fine with the standard there. We don't need anybody with leadership 9. This list will run itself, basically. But last little bit here, the light infantry with bows or crossbows, just rounding that out. And again, as I was going to say a little bit ago, this is going to be a nightmare for opponents to deal with, right, unless they can field something as potent as this. We have access to enough missiles to really soften the enemy up before we make contact, or before they make contact. But this is going to be a list that we're going to play aggressively. We're just going to throw some solid quantities of missile troops, which really should mean anything that we charge is already going to have some wounds on it, and then that just makes the prospect of getting charged by these Holy Order Knights, the Hospitallers, even the Crusaders, hell, even the lower sergeants and stuff, pretty scary for the opponent, because you're going to be like on the edge of probably getting broken just from that first contact, and really we shouldn't in most cases need to get stuck into like long-term combat. Obviously that gets a little bit dicier if we're not if we're just rolling the 6 sustained dice, but we have all these crazy abilities and everything, right, and on our super cavalry here, that again the missile troops should just soften some things up, and then boom, we're going to punch through and hit like a truck. We really shouldn't have to get into too many long drawn out combats, but if need be, that's where by the time the cavalry is there and doing its thing, ideally the infantry is really just there to be a little buzzsaw, finish some things off, keep shooting all the while, and rinse and repeat, and just kind of wipe the opponent from the floor or from the field. So let us know, guys, what you think of the Crusaders for Hail Caesar. Again, I think it's a pretty damn potent list, especially if we're playing with this rule set, right? Obviously, they might have different functions in different games and such, but this would be a cool one to field, certainly. Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, too, check out the link in the comments. Head over to Warlord there. Anything you pick up will give us a little bit of a aid. So appreciate people who do that. And again, thanks for much. Like and subscribe. We'll see you for more.